Alright, we've successfully offset the surface for this seat post thingy. And the next thing we want to do is create a patch connecting these two together to close it in. So I'm going to first of all isolate this layer so it will make it easier to see what we're doing. To isolate the layer, I'm going to go to the Home tab, and you may need to expand where the layers tools are, and then we're going to click on the Isolate button, this button here, select any surface from our 3D frame layer, press enter, and it's just turned off all the other layers so we can focus on this one. Alright, first thing I need to do is for us to make a patch, we have to have, actually it's not going to be a patch, we're going to go through a different process. We're going to create a region and then convert that region to a surface, since we're working with surfaces here. So we're going to first need to duplicate this arc and this arc and create polylines that we can join together. So for surfaces, you can isolate any line along this plane using the tool found in the Surface tab. It's called extracting isolines. So we're going to extract an isoline from this surface. So all I did is select this button here, and then it's asking us to select a surface, solid, or face. So I'm going to select this surface, and then you get this red line that you can move back and forth along this plane. So I want to extract the line right on the end of this solid. This is not a solid, this is a surface. So I'm going to click where it says endpoint, and it looks like nothing happened, but we're just going to press enter. And then press escape. And if you hover over the edge, you should be able to see, if you just leave it there momentarily, a label called arc. So we've just created an arc right at the end of this surface. Now we need to do this process for the inside surface as well. So I'm going to click on extract isolines, select this surface, and go out to the edge until it says endpoint. Click there. Press enter. And now you should have an arc for the inside surface as well. So now we're going to need to create two lines connecting the two arcs together. One over here in that little gap, and then one over here. I'm going to move my UCS symbol out of the way just for a second. Alright, now we're going to use the line tool to create these small lines here. We're going to grab this endpoint, connect it with this endpoint. I'm done drawing my line, press escape. If you want to go back into the same tool that you just used, the shortcut for that is the space bar. So instead of moving my cursor all the way up here and selecting the line tool again, I could just press the space bar, and then you're right back into the previous tool. So now I'm going to draw my line from this point to this point. I'm done drawing my line, so press escape. Now we need to join all of these lines together, our two arcs and then the two little lines here. So that's called join. So you can either type it in, or up here where we did trim, if you click on the arrow, actually that's not the right one. It must be found underneath here, yes. this is the join button. Join is a very short word to type in, and it's easier to type it than to find this button. So if you want to, you could just type in join, J-O-I-N, and you'll see the join button symbol appear there. Press enter. Now we're in the join command, and it's saying select source object or multiple objects to join at once. So we're going to select the short lines that we created, and then the two arcs. Now if you select too much, say you couldn't really isolate that arc, and you selected this, or maybe you selected everything, you can remove from your selection by holding the shift key down and clicking the objects that you want to remove from the selection. So it may actually be easier to just draw a selection window over everything and then use the shift key to remove the two surfaces. So you have all the lines selected, press enter. At the bottom it should say 4 objects converted to one polyline. So it took those 4 individual lines, the 2 short ones and the 2 arcs, and combined them into one polyline, which is a closed shape. At least it should be closed. And under rare circumstances, if you either drew the line without connecting the dots, or something happened in the process and it decided to join it as one continuous polyline that's not closed, then you would have a problem with the next step. So we're going to check the properties for this polyline. So I'm going to click on the polyline to highlight it, and then I'm going to type in properties. Properties, you can see, has this symbol. It looks like an old-fashioned Game Boy or a calculator of some sorts. I don't know why they gave it that symbol, but you can see this similar symbol up here at the very top of your screen. If this is not visible, you may want to make it visible. If you click this, looks like an eject symbol. You should be able to add properties up here. It's just a quick way to access the properties panel. So I'm going to click up here. Pay no attention to that. And here we have the properties for this polyline. And what we want to pay attention to here is the bottom section where it says closed. It should be yes. Now if this was not yes and you were able to close the shape, you could toggle it from no to yes. But you want it to be yes. So if you have a closed shape, a polyline, circle, rectangle, something with no openings, you can convert that to a region. And a region is similar to a surface, but it's like a ghosty type of surface. It's just defining a region. So regions are hardly ever used anymore in AutoCAD. Surfaces are more common, but with this process, the only thing we can do with a polyline is create a region. So that's the first step. We're going to create a region. So type in REGION. Region shows up here. You can either click on that or you can just press enter. Now we're in the region command. It says select objects. We're going to select this polyline that we just created. Press enter, and it looks very similar to a surface, but it doesn't have the same properties. Regions cannot be converted into solids. So we want to convert this region now to a surface. So we're going to type in CONV for convert, And you can see there's a symbol here and a command to convert to surface. Now all of these commands have buttons associated to them, and you could find these buttons on the Surface tab. Actually, I think it's in the Home tab even. It's in the Solid Editing group. These are the two conversions that are very common. One is convert to solid, the other one is convert to surface. So whichever method you prefer to get to that button, it can sometimes be hard to remember where it was found. So I usually just type it in. So I'm just going to type it in, CONV, find convert to surface, click on that. Pick your region, and then press enter. Now it has kind of the hash pattern similar to the other surfaces. It's kind of a grid line to it. And if you hover over it, it should say surface, but it doesn't. It says region. I'm going to try that one more time. Now it says surface. Interesting. So maybe you'll have to do it twice too. But you want the result to be surface, not region. So we have all of these are surfaces. So now we've successfully created half of our seat posts and the bracket. And at this point we're going to transition to creating a solid.